Hello everybody, welcome to MOE's Facebook Live session, Insights into a World Beyond School. My name is Diane and I'll be your host for today. Today's session is part of an engagement series called A World Beyond School, where parents, students and educators can come and hear perspectives about how we can prepare our children better for the world of work. Today's session will focus specifically on digital literacy and technical skills, especially in the face of rising automation and technology in work. Hopefully, the perspectives shared by our panelists today will be helpful in helping us think about how we can train and support our children in building up values, attitudes, mindsets, and competencies to help them thrive in the future of work. Now, this session today will be shaped largely by questions asked by you, our viewers, and so we encourage you to ask your questions freely. Just a gentle reminder to please ask questions related to the topic, to be respectful in the way that you ask your questions, and also feel free to share any tips or experiences that you might have with other viewers in the comment box. Now, let's turn and meet our panel for today. So with us today, we have Yasmin, Benjamin, and Chloe. So let's get to know them a little bit better. Maybe we can have a round of brief introductions, starting from Chloe.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe, currently a Year 2 student studying Computer Science at Singapore Management University.
Hi everyone, I'm Benjamin Ma, glad to be on the show today. I co-chair the Singapore Technology Association, the Talents Capabilities Committee. Glad to be on the show and love to share some insights pertaining to the technology industry.
Well, good evening everyone. I'm Yasmin Abdeen. I'm a parent and a parent support leader. Professionally, I'm a lecturer at EHL Hospitality Business School.
Thank you so much, panelists, for joining us here today. So we're going to start our session proper by just getting to know you a little bit better. We have a bowl of questions over here, and we are going to ask our panelists to pick a question. You can read it out to us, and then share how you would respond to it.
Okay.
So let's start with Yasmin.
Looks like we're in the Miss Universe contest. Right? Picking a question to get scores or something like that. If you could have any job in the world, what would it be? Oh, well, that's a very interesting question, and I've always wanted to be a teacher. I first decided that I wanted to teach when I was 9 years old, and that's what I've pursued my entire career, and I love teaching and connecting with my students, sharing knowledge, and also, if I could do anything, I would still be teaching.
Thanks so much, Yasmin. And let's move on to Ben.
All right, so now it's Mr. Universe time.
Oh, yes.
Very exciting. Let's see, what's the question in store for me? If your career or education journey was a food, I'm a foodie. What would it be? I would say it's an ang ku kueh that's in front of me. I love ang ku kueh. Why? It's because it's red, it's shiny from the outside, and you know the mystery of the filling on the inside. The moment at the first bite, it's just not only mysteriously flavorful, but it is also very satisfying, just like a technology career.
Very nice. Thanks so much, Ben. And let's move on to Chloe.
All right, let's see, what's the question? If you could have a superpower related to one of your strengths or interests, what would it be? Wow, really interesting question. I think I would have a superpower related to like foreseeing the future, because I'm doing cybersecurity, so I hope to be able to foresee the future and foresee like some attacks that are going to happen in the future, and then work together with other like cybersecurity professionals to try to solve all these problems. Yeah.
Thanks so much, panelists, for letting us get to know you just a little bit better. And we're so thankful and excited to have you here with us today. Now I'd like to ask all of us a question. Are you feeling excited or overwhelmed at the rise of technology and AI in our workplace? AI is really a big part of our lives now in the workplace. LinkedIn's 2023 Future of Work report talked about how generative AI would affect Gen Zs the most in terms of job disruption. And yet, about 50% of millennials and Gen Zs are excited about it. What about us? Many of us might have mixed feelings towards AI and the rise of technology in the workplace, but it is inevitable that it will play a big part in our children's lives and in their future workplaces, which will look very different from ours. So today we want to be thinking a bit more about how we as parents can better prepare our children for the future of work and what kind of skills and competencies might be helpful for them to think about how to thrive in the workplace. So at this point, we'd like to invite you to ask any questions you might have, and we will be fielding them to our panelists and hopefully sharing some helpful perspectives and tips from our different positions and walks of life.
Technology is indeed have rise to the pervasiveness that now I would believe every parent right now you would have not only a mobile device that would have multiple applications within your mobile phone, and obviously with Parents Gateway that you get to know this session as well that you're logging on. And there's many applications that we use on a daily basis as well, and not only for working adults but also for students as well as they navigate within the MOE and the school curriculum altogether. So I would say here is the pervasiveness of the mobility, which all the endpoint solutions that each one of us have, from the mobile phones to now your smartwatches to your wearables, and I'm beginning to see more EV cars that are smart cars around that is roaming the Singapore streets of today. And of course, if you're at the Changi Airport, you will be riding the autonomous rail trains that we have been enjoying for the last couple of years. So it's into our life. And so now the question here is, what sort of talents do we need to support these apps, these mobile devices, this everyday usage or the consumption of technology that we need to get our work going, to get our life going, our commute going, to get our learning going as well. And it all starts from the fun interfacing of applications. From applications itself, there is user experience of graphics design that it's shaping new customers' experience. I'm sure that we have used the CDC vouchers that we can easily use and spend on. And likewise as well, we have been using a lot of the ride-hailings of your app called Grab, and that's a super app. So you are already a super app user that you're using on a daily basis, and that's powerful, and that's never been thought of before. That one will be a super app user on a daily basis, a super app user, right? So now, to bring it down to this, right? There is cybersecurity, like Chloe will touch on a whole lot more, so things needs to get safer as it continues to use on a daily basis. Data is important, identity is important, availability is important as well, because we want our apps quick and fast. So there are networks that needs to be broadened. You know, if 3G is not enough, let's get on to 4G. If 4G is not enough, now let's get on to the 5G, right? So the consumption and the speed of consumption of this information is huge. And as we use more applications, the data starts growing. And that's why we have big data in the cloud infrastructure, and there are large language models that's performing algorithms on these large data sets, that now generative AI becomes the rise of our fifth industrial revolutions, that we are augmenting both the machine AI with the human-centric approach to achieve productivity gains and new outcomes. So it's definitely multiple roles from the front of the house to the back of the house, and it's a growing industry that definitely need more talents.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ben.
Sorry,
go ahead,
I was
Yasmin.
just going to chime in, you know, when Ben was talking about all the different apps and how we're all super app users. So when you think of the workplace itself, right, technology is there in any industry that you work. So whether you're in healthcare, you're in hospitality, you are a retail business owner, you're going to use, you know, technology either at the front or at the back end. So we're not running away from technology. It's there in our workplace. all of us have actually been submerged into it. During the COVID-19, I think everybody learned how to work online, use technology to communicate, and now we learn a lot of other productivity tools as well. So technology is there to stay. I think we all know this. So I think the bigger question, I think, as parents, we need to understand is, what's next? What do I do? And then how do I take this forward with my children as well? I think jobs will always be there, right? So there are so many different jobs in every industry. So it's a matter of, making sure that you have the right skill set for the industry that you are hoping to get into or you intend to work in. So I see it in two different ways, yeah? So one is you become a specialist of some sort and you could fit into any industry. Or perhaps like someone like Chloe, right? You want to be a specialist that works, like in a silos, like what Ben is doing in the IT industry, for example. So jobs are there. I think what's upcoming, everyone talks about IT, right? Technology field. But I think if we talk about the Singapore economy, there's also hospitality, tourism, which is big money income. Look at what they did with Taylor Swift, right? I think we all can attest to that, right? So, and does technology come into that? Definitely as well. So what skills do you need? I think one, communication skills, no doubt. You need to be able to put your foot in when you're looking for a job, right? To say, this is what I bring to the table. Number two, you need to be able to think on your feet, compute, analyze. And you need this across any occupation because problem solving is part of any job. And then that ability to think out of the box. Is this the only solution or could there be something else that we could do because we've not looked at it from that point of view? Yeah, I won't hog the line.
Thank you for your detailed explanation as well. If you take a look at the current industries, right, they are going through digital transformation, or in Singapore it's called Go Digital, right? So we're encouraging all various industries and also the various small, medium and large enterprises to go digital. So what does it mean? It means that if you are in the financial industry, there's a technology component, so it is financial and tech, it's called fintech. If it's government and now is embracing with technology, it's called GovTech, right? So you will get there's health tech. And it's pervasive in the sense that technology cuts across all industry. And to the question from Felicia is to say what jobs are upcoming. So if you take a look at the industry disciplinary skills, that is going to be the core foundations of it, layered on top of technology, which is like a stackable skill. Think about this like a Lego block, right? So today you have your foundation. Oh, Queen of It. You are also a foodie. This is a co-partnering of a foodie in tech. That's super exciting. So this is the stackable modules whereby if it's industry that you're in healthcare, you're in government, you're in financial, you layer up in terms of tech stackable skills on top of it. So which means that if there's technical programming skills on top of your already known legal, financial, healthcare, you put a technology aspect to this, you put a data aspect to this, you put a generative AI, you put a compliance to that. Now these are new job roles that's happening within your industry. And let me also give you another example. The industry is right now on the verge of the fifth industrial revolution, and one of the key things here is sustainability as well, that we need to protect the environmental, social and governance. And so now businesses, not only they need to do well, you need to do good as well by saving the earth, by ensuring the inclusiveness, the social mobility as well, and there's a full regulatory reporting that's required by regulators, both from the public markets itself, but also from the supplier markets as well. So what does it mean here? So your traditional compliance reporting now goes into your green and social reporting. And that's yet another new paradigm of jobs that's beginning to evolve, that is moving at scale, not only here in Singapore, but at scale globally.
I think for like technological skills, maybe like, doing like a little bit of coding, getting your hands on like how coding actually works would be a good like starting point for you to see whether there's something that you like and something that you want to, pursue in the future. But technology is not only just about coding, there are still like a lot of other things. Like you have like your user experience, so you can also be like a UX designer where you design like how the website looks like. There is also part of like a technological skills where you use like technological tools online to try to build all these front end of your website. So I think besides all these like technological skills, I think soft skills is also very, very important because you need to learn how to step out of your comfort zone to go for like networking events or like talk to other people around the industry to learn more about like what is the industry doing or like what things are evolving. And I think that those soft skills are really, really important.
Yeah, and Chloe, if I can ask, were there any experiences that you had that helped you to build some of these skills that you talked about? So both your hard skills like coding, but also your own interests or your passion and soft skills that you've developed?
I think for me, like, if you were to ask, like, how did I get into tech, right? So it actually started like after O-levels because I had a lot of time after O-levels. So as I was like sitting around the dining table with my brother, I was asking him like, what should I explore? What are some new opportunities that I should explore? And at a point of time, he was studying NUS computing. So he told me like, oh, maybe you could like build a simple website on your own. And at a point of time, I was 16 and I was like really, really into this like K-pop group. So I decided to build a website for them. Then I integrated like Google Analytics to it, where I can track where users were coming from, how many users were coming in a day. And I think that was where I was like really amazed about how like, I uploaded the link on a Korean site and like people were coming in from like Russia, from US. And that kind of like made me think about how like the potential of technology to like scale and deliver content to the masses. So that was how I was like intrigued about technology, and I think that was where like it sparked my interest in technology.
Yeah, indeed, just to add on, I think your journey as to how you start is so valuable, right? It's not just Gen Z, but I think it's every generation that is important because we are using tech as well. And with Chloe's example, I'm also learning from her. Why? Because she is centered where her target audience is, which is K-pop. And the means that she wants to build is a website channel to be able to engage them. And at a very early onset, right, at 16 years old, she's talking about analytics to be able to identify, know her audience better in terms of the duration of the consumption of the K-pop contents that they are listening to, their favorite songs. I think these are very valuable insights that we learn as well as an industry from a media perspective as well, how digital contents are being consumed and at which moment are the customers consuming it, at which time and which place, and the drivers for them consuming this information. And likewise as well, I think I would also urge to say that with a customer-centric approach to technology, and a human-centric approach to technology, this is when the interweaving of our human experiences coming into together with technology to serving as a community to our target audience in terms of our value statement, which is so important. So think about AI, right? Whereby we have heard the word human-centric AI or co-pilot, where your machine AI will help in terms of your productivity gain. So now a lot of the manual tasks can be highly automated and self-generated as well, where the humans now take a look at it and put in the finishing touches, the 10-15% of the touches that is applicable to the core deliverables as well. So I think what Chloe have shared is super insightful, and of course now she's in an even more exciting space called cybersecurity altogether.
Yeah, I think there are different types of skills, right? You have the hard skills and you have the soft skills. So hard skills are things you would learn in a course and a class. like you go to university, you learn maybe Python or you learn how to code and things like that, right? Then you have the soft skills, because the soft skills is what takes you further. Because I tell this to my students, right? When you all graduate, everyone's going to come out of university with the same qualifications. Now, what's going to set you apart from someone else? So that's where your soft skills come in. That ability to communicate, that ability to think on your feet and respond, and not get stressed maybe when the problem is a bit unsolvable for that moment as well. So how can the children learn these skills, right? That starts at home, actually. It starts with conversations that you would have at the breakfast table. It starts in a conversation when you're walking to school or driving to school or even on the train or on the bus. Seeing things around you, talking about the world around us, the community, as well as things happening around the world. And that will help our children learn to think just beyond the I, me, myself, but develop the soft skills of being empathetic, for example. If you talk about user experience, right? Yeah. You need to have a very empathetic perspective to it. If you talk about, for example, defense, cybersecurity, then you think about, if my grandma gets scammed, how? Then you think about, okay, what's my grandma like? And then you see it from another angle as well. So that, I think, falls on us as parents to sort of inculcate that, and then to sort of have those conversations, as I would say. And even when there's a problem, rather than solve the problem, I always ask my children, so what do you think you should do? What do you think we can do? Then it makes them think, rather than like, here's your solution, go do it. That doesn't really help.
Yeah, just to add on to Yasmin's point as well, it's important to also differentiate classroom-based learning and experience-based learning as well. So while the classroom-based can equip you with the 101s, right, to-dos, but also to Yasmin's point, it's important to create the environment for the children to go and experiment, which it can be a success or sometimes even a not too good outcome, but it's okay. One of the key areas that I will urge parents to explore is really expose their children to the industry-based courses like the robotics, right, early in the onset. And if there's a robotics that have what we call open competition or hackathons that's out there, just put the best foot forward, because in reality, back in work, we always have a deadline to deliver. And it's always yesterday that we need to deliver. We all know that, right?
Well, I agree. I also disagree. Okay, you know why? Because I'm very concerned about parents saying that, there's this hackathon, there's this cause, and then swam the kids, and then what happens? We don't interact, we don't connect.
Sure.
And then they get exhausted, and then you say, why are my son so moody? Why my daughter don't want to talk to me?
Yes.
Because what you're doing is you're just shoving them, you're outsourcing it. So you need to strike a balance. I think this is very important. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't send, but I'm not saying go send, like tomorrow go sign up, or even after this session, go Google and go find out what to do. But I think strike a balance. That's so important. That is about the mental wellness.
Yes. And it's indeed important as well, right? And that's where the empathy comes in as to why we do what we do. It's because we're about serving others as well. And once you put that value statement into, it's not about the kid trying to solve the problem alone, but it's a community that's trying to do it all together as well. It could be mentors like us, right? It could be fellow mentees as well, the grouping of fellow mentees. More Chloe can help out as well. So I think it's about the building up the community, coming together with the empathy, knowing that what's the true problem statements, right, that jointly we can solve together. So this is a very important question, and I thank you for raising this, right? So to your point here is AI today may seem to be a big thing. Just like calculators was first invented, it was a huge thing for mathematics, right? And today we're still using calculators on our phones, our smart mobility, right? So I would imagine that it's the same as well. While today we are being faced with the new AI wow, right? I hope our children and our grandchildren will be able to use AI in a a very truthful and non-biased way as well, which actually your second part of your question focus on security and governance, right? And one of the key things that Singapore, we play a very unique role is about the trust node. And IMDA have came out with the AI framework that talks about ensuring the accountability of AI data, which again, the explainability of this data to ensure that, where does this data comes from and how do you put all this data, is it biased, is it non-biased, but also the auditability of all this data. And therefore it puts upon a governance reporting framework that is important not only for technology, but it's also important for the users of this technology, which is definitely our children and grandchildren. So I think you have touched on a very, very important point that we definitely need to have our children aware of this, both the security, the cyber security, the biasness, but also educate them in terms of how they use this technology for good.
Thank you so much, Ben. And thank you so much to all our panelists so far for answering our questions. We have launched a poll in the comments section and we'd like to share some of the results with you. So the poll asks, which of these competencies do you find the most important to develop for the digital future of work? And we've seen the results, and our top scoring category is communication and collaboration at 39%, followed by digital safety and ethics, and then data analytics and presentation. So any quick reactions to it? Chloe, any thoughts on the results?
It's not really surprising. I think communication is really, really important because you need to know how to communicate your ideas across the table. Presentation skills is also really important. When you have a really good idea but you're scared of sharing it or you don't know how to communicate it well, then I think there's no point in your idea. So I think communication skills is indeed really, really important.
And it's a little bit like what you're saying about hard skills versus soft skills, and you need a balance of both, right?
And I think I want to just emphasize that communication is not just the speaking or the presentation, but it's also the writing skill. And a lot of times people overlook that because you want to articulate your ideas. Verbally is easy because you can self-correct, right? But when you're writing, you got to make sure the reader understands what you're reading. So, sometimes you'll say, oh, why do I need to learn how to write an essay? Or why do I need to learn how to do email writing? It's so essential because you could be asking a lot of things or saying things that the other person cannot make sense of. And then there's, that cultural aspect, right? When you use certain phrases and all. Like this morning I was teaching a class and I was telling my students, never end an email when you want action and say, as soon as possible. My soon as possible, your soon as possible, his soon as possible, different timelines. So if you want it end of the day, say, please reply by 5 p.m. today. So it's very clear, no question about what 5 p.m. And if it's a different time zone, 5 p.m. SGT.
Now, just want to respond to the collaboration side of things. I think it is very important that we not only know how to communicate, but to collaborate as well. And why is that so? It's as new industries are formed, it's not only individual disciplinaries, but it's also the and fast becoming the transdisciplinary, the fusion of interdisciplinary coming together to form a new industry. Like to my earlier point, sustainability, right? Itself is the green economy, and we have the social economy of the care economy on top of the digital economy as well. And so these are new economies that, one person can't solve alone, and we need to have a community of people coming together with different background, with different experience, all aligned to wanting to make an impact or change, and we have the necessary digital platforms and tools to be able to do that. So I'll totally agree. I think the polls are spot on in terms of communication and collaboration.
So I think we've touched a bit on some of the skills component as well, but maybe coming from a parent angle or even an angle as a child, what has been done to help you to prepare to navigate these technologies?
I think for me personally, I think having like the mindset to always like explore new opportunities is a really, really good attitude to have. So for example, for me, actually all my life I wanted to like go to JC, I wanted to study like biomedical science, but you know, after like exploring technology on my own after my O-levels, I was actually really intrigued into technology, and that was when I went to SP's open house where I talked with the lecturer, and then he was like spending like 1 to 2 hours telling me like why I should join School of Computing, and at that point I was like kind of sold. So I joined School of Computing, and I joined the Common ICT program because at that point of time I only had experience in like software development. So for Common ICT program, they expose you to like software development as well as cybersecurity for 1 year, and afterwards you get to choose like which one you want to do. So for me, I was interested in cybersecurity, and through that I was able to get an internship at GovTech for a year, and through the internship at GovTech I was able to rotate around 3 different teams. I was able to do like defense, attack, as well as vulnerability research. And for vulnerability research, I was fortunate to be able to present at a conference, and I think that's where like communication and networking skills came in, because during a conference I was able to talk to a lot of industry experts, and I was able to see like people from like Apple US, and that was how I got a foot into like an interview with Apple US, and got an internship with them last summer. So yeah, I think the attitudes of like being always very curious and always being open to exploring new opportunities is very, very important.
Thanks so
If
much,
I can
Chloe.
add, I think attitudes is one, we talk about KSA, right? Knowledge, skills, and attitudes or aptitudes. I think in terms of knowledge, Singapore is multiracial, multicultural, and I think one skill that's so essential, knowledge that's very essential, is the knowledge of culture. The cultural quotient, the cultural intelligence. If you want to succeed, not just in Singapore, but in a global landscape, you need to have that ability to communicate with people across different cultures, to be able to navigate situations and say, okay, this is not what I'm used to, but hey, I should not frown, I should not be doing, to sort of know that every culture is equal and that we respect people, And this sort of things start at home, if you ask me, a school teacher cannot stand in front of the classroom and say, you must be respectful. They will repeat it, but end of the day, nothing happens. But it's about teaching, to understand, to appreciate, I share a little anecdote about my son when he was, I think, 8 or 9, and he found 50 cents on the floor, right? And then, so he picked up the coin, and then his friend said, keep on. And then he said, no, I think I'll go and return it to the office. So he went to the general office, gave it to the school admin staff. So then he said, hey, you're so stupid. So a couple of his friends were saying, you're so stupid. So he came out, was very moody about the whole thing. So over dinner, I was saying, hey, why are you so moody? That kind of thing. And he said, am I stupid? That was his first question. Am I stupid? So then, like, where did this come from, right? I mean, like, out of the blue, how does a child come up with this sort of question, right? So he said, then I said, oh, what happened? Why are you asking this? Then he related that incident. So then I said, do you think you're stupid? So I threw the question back to him. Then I said, why did you return the money? Then he said, oh, because it belongs to somebody, and if that person doesn't have that money, he cannot eat or she cannot eat. So this is, I think, how parents prepare your children, life experiences. What's the lesson? What do you take from this? So you're not stupid, you're kind, you're thoughtful, and that is not a stupid act. So people may judge, but it doesn't matter. Go by your conscience, your moral values to be your, guiding force in that sense, I think. So I think this is something parents need to remember, not to put the label and to sort of unfold or unpack that situation itself.
Yeah, thanks, Yasmin. And parents play such an important role in kind of shaping the way our children look at these issues or even respond to the issue.
Maybe I do not know about superhuman. Right? The
It makes you feel like you're superhuman, I think.
well, the machines are still learning as well, right? As we speak, and no matter what, it's a human-centric approach where the AI here is here to augment and to assist the human, not the other way around, right? And I think it is very important that we start to the earliest question both Yasmin and Chloe have talked about. It's about the technology of discovery journey. It's not an outcome, but rather a journey. Chloe has shared her 16 years old encounter, and up to now she's doing her exposure in the US, Cupertino, Apple, doing cybersecurity, and now she's in SMU, the School of Computing. What a wonderful journey of discovery, right? Yasmin talks about, the culture about this, to understand the nuances in terms of the different culture. And that's again the exposure of your different journey in the different countries as well. So we are all part of the journey, right? And so that's the first point. The second point I also want to register is that as kids discover, children discover their technology journey, each one of them are uniquely different. And I can say so because 8.1 billion humans have 10 fingers, so to a power of 10. So that's uniqueness as we cross borders, and of course the biometrics, right, with your retina, and that really shapes our uniqueness. So our children are very unique as well, and the way that they learn and the way that they discover their journey is also going to be very different from us as well. So I think as we prepare them for the start of this journey, we prepare them towards the discovery. And one point that is very important is that AI is here to serve others. And that's where the empathy comes in. And once with the right problem statement that you're harnessing technology to solve, to serve others better and to have empathy, I think that will be one of the core digital skill set that combines both the social, the empathy, and together with the discovery of a healthy journey for the use of technology.
So if we go back to that question, if you don't mind, I just want to add, right, how do you use AI, right, and help your children use it correctly? So I think besides empathy, the ethical use is also very important. AI is a very powerful tool, but if you think about it, Google search is also AI actually. So it's collected all that information. So we're not new to AI, as a lot of people tend to perceive it to be. But when you look at AI, what it does is it provides you information in bite size, in readable language, like you could say, explain quantum physics to me as if I were 10-year-old. You get an answer and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Right? So as parents, what I think we can do is to teach them how to use it correctly. And also remind them that verify, is this correct? Is it true? Because AI is also, behind that scene, there are people working on it, So go check. Did an expert validate this? Is this a reliable source? I teach my students, I even teach my children this, this CRAP tool, yeah? Current, is it current? Is it relevant? Is that authority? So this helps you think about the information and how you use it. So parents can do this for their children to help them prepare for work, the future of work. Whatever you see online, learn to verify it, learn to confirm it. Yeah.
Yeah, so not only schools plays a very important role, but also parents play a very important role. I remember my first exposure to computers was my dad bringing home a typewriter, right? That I first realized that, wow, to write an A that requires 3 strokes, now at the touch of one button, wow, the A comes out, right? And of course today we can have the whole story generate by itself, so through voice, you don't even need to press a single keyboard. But back to this is to ensure that every family in schools, in collaboration with the parents, no one is left behind. It's very, very important. And it starts from the parent and school initiative that, most schools, we have computer clubs, right? The clubs. And it starts from there, where parents' involvement and together with the schools coming together to do very meaningful work together, even out from school, which is normally parents-led, so that there is also an effort from both the parents and it's learning beyond classroom, where we're getting ready for our children for the world. and it needs to start beyond the classroom. And if the parents can actively play a role, and we parents we have our job experiences and our companies as well. If we can also get some of our companies or our partners to come in and chip in, I think it takes a very meaningful inclusiveness towards getting our children ready for the new digital economy.
I think just to add on very
go ahead.
quickly, for parents who might be concerned about costs, the community centers, the CDACs, they all have a lot of grants. Even the school, MOE itself provides support to families that need help. So I think we just need to not be shy or embarrassed and say, I need a little bit help in this area, and I'm sure the community will step up to offer any family that needs it.
Yes, that's right.
I think if you have the interest to study, but like your father doesn't support you, I think the first thing you should do is like try to persuade him. You should try to tell him like, why do you want to study this? Maybe besides like just telling him like, oh, I like it because I think it's cool and stuff. You should show him like, oh, I've actually tried to mingle. I've tried to go online to research it on my own. I've tried to like attend classes. I've tried to attend like some online courses. And I think that after experiencing all of this, I still think that I have an interest for it. And I'm pretty sure your parent like would try to support you in that way, because you have come up with like evidence of you like at least trying and telling him like, I've actually tried, and I think your parent will like support you in that way.
I would add that, Maverick, if you want to speak to your father or even your mother, there are 3 things you need to focus on. First of all, the logic. Why do you need to do this? It has to make sense to your parents, right? Oh, I could do this. These are my opportunities. As Chloe has mentioned, do your homework. So there's the logic. Then the second part comes the emotional appeal to your parents. Tug on the heartstrings, like, I'm sure you want to see me happy, right, Daddy? If I go into this, then I might be miserable. Then it gives me a lot of unnecessary stress. So then, parents will also stop to think: do I want my child to be happy, or do I want my child to pursue something I think he or she should be pursuing as well? So the emotional aspect as well, right? And then work on your persuasion skills. Find your dad on a good day. Find him at the right timing. Not when he come back, he's so tired and he said, "Hey, Daddy, I want to do this," right? And probably, are you again, Set the mood. It's like if you want to date a girl, you create the experience, right? So same thing. Date your dad. And then convince him. This is all communication.
Yeah, that's right. And I was just going to say, actually, it comes back down to so much of communication, persuasion, not just your hard skills, but doing your homework, sort of showing the data to make your point, right?
Exactly, yes.
It's very useful even in daily situations.
It is true that the tech industry is male-dominated, but I've been seeing more and more girls like entering the tech industry. So for instance, the previous batch, there was like 80% to 20%, so like 80% male and 20% female. But for my batch, it was around 60 to 40. So you can see like the huge increase in the amount of girls that are entering our industry. And I think that you shouldn't be afraid of like being a female in this industry, because you should be proud of being a female. You bring like diversity to the table, because females think very differently in like how males think. So I think this is where females can come in, step in to share their perspective, and we can create like better products through all these like experiences. And I think where your child can find internships for the tech industry would be firstly through your school emails. So for my GovTech internship, I found it through my school emails. And the thing is, you shouldn't be afraid to try, because actually for the GovTech internship, I was kind of like skeptical, like whether I should get, what if I get rejected like first round. But my brother was beside me. He was like, you will never know unless you try it. So that was when I got the courage to apply for it. So then it turned out really well. So I think children should try to look for their school emails, because school will definitely work with a lot of like corporations and try to get the internships for their students. And secondly is through like networking events. So I think a child should like try to like step out of their comfort zone, go for like more networking events, learn from more industry experts, and then you talk to them, tell them like, do you have any like availability in your team? Do you think like my skills? What are the teams that you would recommend me to join? And I think hearing from all these industry experts will be very, very, very valuable. And I think thirdly is to look online. Like for example, LinkedIn, there's like a lot of like job recommendations, and you can actually like filter them through like your skills or like your location or like your time period. And I think that application itself is a really good platform for you to find internship opportunities.
So just to add on, SGTech, the tech associations, on a yearly basis, we celebrate women in technology. And it's a very specific and focus that we celebrate to celebrate women in tech in all their achievement, be it leaderships, and to Chloe's point, new technology inventions, new projects that has been gone online, and many multiple projects that's leading that showcases women in technology. So that's one. The second point here is there's specific venture funds right now that supports women entrepreneurship, right? It's by the women, for the women, right? And the men's don't get it, right? And so there's exclusively for women as well. So it's a very inclusive, highly vibrant tech industry that we celebrate women in technology as well. And in terms for internship, please reach out to SGTech. We have a specific internship programs that we help, aspiring females to get into the tech industry. So make sure you look out for our SGTech website, and there's an internship program.
If I can just give a slight twist to this, right? So a lot of it is like go into the tech industry. You can also do tech work in other industries. So let's say, Felicia, your daughter might be interested in tech, but then she could do tech in, for example, healthcare. She could do tech in hospitality, in many other industries. And that's another way to dabble in two different areas and sort of figure out if this is something I could enjoy as well. Insights into one, and then, the experience from another.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, and of course, look out for those opportunities publicized by Ben as well.
So when we talk about communicating with our teens, I think one, conversations about technology and the use of technology should not be focused on what you're doing, what you're looking at, and then want to pry into their phones and all. Because then we're going into boundaries, we're crossing boundaries because your child's going to say, I'm not telling you. Yeah, so I think what we need to do is, first of all, as a parent, if we're not as savvy, we need to educate ourselves. Go find out, go read. Information is out there, go find out, talk to peers, talk to someone young, and then learn. Understand what's going on. Then, use that as a starting point for a conversation. Hey, did you see that TikTok video? No. And then your child will start talking. Then your child said, no, I didn't see. Then okay, maybe your child isn't doing this or your child is doing that. And that helps you build, a relationship and connect. And then your child might also educate you along the way. So I think if we take a prying approach, we're not going to be able to communicate with our teens. But if we take a more engaging approach, like, did you see this? Did you watch that? Hey, I saw this, and then it becomes a conversation already. Yeah. So I think that helps. Like the other day, I watched a video on TikTok, and I said, hey, I told my son, did you see this? He said, yeah, then funny. And then we both had a good laugh over it. And I think that's how you communicate and you build those bridges as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so really starting from educating yourself and then finding some common topics to bond with your children. So some pro tips from Yasmin.
So, it brings me back to the time in the 80s where, a group of my primary school friends were gathered, and then this friend was talking about how he had a modem set up in his home. And then, those were the days like, like ding, 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 maybe Right? And then, and the rest of us were like completely clueless because never heard of this, never even understood what it is. I mean, when Ben was talking about typewriters, I remember electronic typewriters and it was like marvelous. Wow, can erase, that kind of thing, like that sort of aspect, right? So if I could live my life all over again, I think I would have learned about technology earlier, much earlier in my life to sort of understand and all. Because I moved to the States in the 90s, right? And then I had one of my students write to me and I said, in the future, you and I could be chatting. I was like, what is this boy talking about? Because again, I was such a migrant in that sense, right? Not a native, so I didn't know what he was talking about. And then today it's like, yes, you just send a text. You don't even write letters anymore, right? Yeah, so if I could do this all over again, I would learn as soon as possible.
Ben, any thoughts?
Yeah, so this was, thanks Mindy for asking this question. As I reflect upon this question, right, I think it's also very important to talk, you said differently, and harnessing. Personally, I'm glad that how I lived my life in terms of journey, whether to go back and live over again, I don't really think I would want to go that route, because I'm very happy as to the journey that I've been that's uniquely to me, and the people that I meet, and the discoveries that I've made along the way. But I think maybe your question, that I would frame it to say that what would I focus on that is more important, that can harness technology even more better. It's really the democratization of technology to everyone. I think that's very important. And to be at the stage where the introduction of AI now, we have the opportunity to do it now, right? And need not live it all over again, but now that we can do it, and it's an opportunity for us, and our opportunity for our children and our generations to come as well. And we should embrace this moment where now there's AI for all, that nobody, to the earlier question, no one is left behind. One of the very focused track that we purposefully made is to ensure that we have skills-based technology badging approach of job mobility, so that every Singaporean would have opportunity in digital jobs as well. I think that is very important, where we at SGTech, we introduced what we call a Tech Light program, where we can train users, PMATs 40 and above, quickly on SaaS applications of your customer relationship management, your human capital management, your HCM, and your ERP, your enterprise resource planning systems, that they are able to bring their experience together with the respective Tech Light SaaS application, so that they can find the next job. So we can do it now, and likewise for children as well, that no children is left behind. We have that opportunity to do so now.
Thanks so much, Ben. And Chloe, how about you? What would you do differently?
I think if I were to live all over again, I think I would have started like internships way earlier, because all my life, I'm a bit more skeptical about stepping out of my comfort zone to try to apply for all these companies. And I've only decided to like take up the courage when I was year 3 in Polytechnic. So if I were to go back in time, I actually want to do it in like year 1 and year 2, because internships is actually the place where I learn the most, because I get to mingle with like industry experts, I get to work on real world applications, and that's where I feel like I've managed to acquire all the knowledge and the practical skills. So if I were to go back in time, I would definitely do an internship in like year 1 and year 2 as well.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chloe. And thanks, Mindy, for the really interesting question, a very reflective question for all of us, I believe. And so, as we are coming to the close of our session, perhaps we get our panelists to share with us some words of encouragement for our parents. As parents think about how to support and prepare their children, any encouragement to them on how they can do that better. Perhaps let's start with Yasmin, and let's go this way.
Well, I think speaking as a parent to parents who are online, I think what's very important is we need to be the model we want our children to be. I think if we want our children to learn how to embrace new things, to look at new opportunities, we need to demonstrate that ourselves, right? To be excited, to be eager about that. And if we want our children to manage their stress better, we better be modeling that stress management thing. So I think, end of the day, as a parent, I want my child to be happy. I want my children to be happy. And I'm sure all the other parents out there would, echo this sentiment. So end of the day, ask yourself, what makes my child happy? And if that makes your child happy, then support your child all the way.
Yeah. Oh, very wise words. So one of being the father of 2 boys, very 2 active boys, I think it's a journey that of also learning as a parent, discovering that the individual is uniquely created with their own unique skills, and also very unique weaknesses that they have as well. And one of the key part here is about ensuring that they are not judged by what they can do, but rather they are loved by who they are. I think that's one very important aspect. And to Yasmin's point as well is about the journey that we are on this journey together, where you demonstrate the ability to be able to problem solve, be celebrating at the high mountains, or you are at the trenches, at the valleys, that is walking jointly together. It's a parent and child support ecosystem, is a pairing that is it's a journey that is continuous, right? And that's also very important, that the identity of the child, how he or she, who he and she is, and how is she being loved, I think is very important, and that's where the empathy and the growing together is even more important in this whole journey of discovery.
Thanks, Ben. And how about you, Chloe?
I think for me, I would recommend like communication. I think communicating with your child is like really, really important. It's not only about like actively listening to like what your child like tells you about like his or her day, but it's more about like understanding their feelings, understanding their thoughts. And through all this understanding, you will make the child feel like they are very respected and valued in the family. And then I think the child would be more open to sharing with you about like their challenges or things that are not going their way. So I think that, you know, communicating with your child onto like a day-to-day basis is like really, really important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, panelists, for your words of encouragement. And thank you to our viewers for your active participation and your many questions. We are sorry that we couldn't get through all of them, but we hope today's session was a fruitful and helpful one. And, you know, just that we cannot do this alone, you know. We need partnerships between parents, schools, and the wider community in order to bring out the best in our children. So once again, we'd like to thank you for your time in joining us today. And we also want to direct your attention to the resources that are in the comment box. And we hope to see you again at our next session of A World Beyond School. Bye!
Bye-bye. Good night.